Hi, everyone. I was fixing an errant curl. Thanks for joining us on the Latinas Make a Difference tour. This is so exciting. I am so happy to be here moderating this panel. My name is Stephanie Beatriz. You might know me as Rosa Diaz from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'm also in a film that's coming out next summer called In the Heights. You might have heard of it. Anyway, we're here today to kind of listen in and gather wisdom from these amazing, incredible women today. And this is the Working Hard for the Money panel. So I'm going to introduce you to some of our panelists. They are, each and every one of them is creative, fierce, awesome. I'm finding them very inspiring, and I hope you do too. So I want to welcome you guys each one at a time. I'm going to talk a little bit about you, toot your horns a little bit. First up is Linda Parra of Baby L Style. Linda is a business owner, an influencer, a wife, and a mom. She's Mexican-American. She was born and raised in Yuma, Arizona. And she's also a second-generation dentist. Linda's basically awesome. She does what a lot of women do, which is juggle being a wife, a mom, a boss, and her business. She's also designed collections for children's clothing lines, and she serves as the vice president of the Wild and Whimsy Foundation, which is dedicated to helping foster children in the U.S. and Mexico. So she's pretty bomb. Also joining us today, we've got Kathy Cano-Murillo of Crafty Chica. She's an author and an artist and speaker and creativepreneur. She's the founder of the award-winning brand Crafty Chica, and she's bomb. She was also a former syndicated columnist for the Arizona Republic. She's been featured in the New York Times, USA Today, Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, and more. She's now a full-time creativepreneur, and that's led to Crafty Chica having mass retail product lines and also collabs with some, some small brands you might have heard of, Coca-Cola, Disney. Yeah, she's here talking with us too. And last but not least is Felicia Romero. She is a fitness and business coach. She's got a master's degree in exercise and wellness from Arizona State, where she also played softball. I wanted it to be football. I think I had a little Freudian slip. She opened up her first gym at 22 years old and basically built it, worked it, created it. And then about 2 years ago, she decided to sell Fit Method to create more time to have freedom in her schedule and build her online business, which is up and running and helps people all around the world. She created a wellness company that helps women virtually all around the country. And she also happens to host a podcast, Diet Dropout, a fresh take on fitness. So please welcome our panel. Yay! Wow, I'm so happy to be here with all of you. You've all just made your way in the world and put your stamp on it. I'm so psyched to talk to each of you today about being an entrepreneur, creator of a bomb. I don't know if I'm allowed to say badass. So I'm going to sort of start by talking about, what's happening right now. Research shows that Latinas have actually been hit, one of the groups that's been hit the hardest by the pandemic and the economic downturn, either from losing their jobs or maybe feeling stuck in their careers, maybe unable to advance because of a furlough or they've been laid off. But when it comes to issues that we as Latinas care about, I think having access to quality jobs and having access to career advancement is so big for us, because not only does it help our lives move forward, but also the lives of our families. Mm-hmm. According to the 2018 State of Women-Owned Businesses report by American Express, this is awesome, 400 Hispanic women-owned businesses are launched every day. And this is so exciting. Latina firms grew at a rate of 172%, which is amazing. But then the pandemic hit, right? So my question to you guys is, since the economy really ranks as the number one issue that's driving Latinos to the polls, can you talk about your experiences? Each of you talk about your experience starting your own business and the specific unique obstacles of being a Latina entrepreneur. Can you each kind of just talk about that? And maybe about how some of those obstacles, obviously they didn't stop you. So how did you overcome each of those hoops that you had to jump through?
Yeah. Do you want me, can I begin?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So That's a great question, and thank you so much for asking it. I would say for me in my personal journey, I opened up my first gym when I was 22, 23. And, some of the things that I experienced being a young Latina, wanting to be an entrepreneur, I couldn't imagine working for anybody, nor did I want to work for, I wanted to create my own money. But one of the things that was challenging for me is, number one, the mindset, having a very scarcity mindset. I grew up in a Latina household where, I saw my mom work 2 to 3 jobs. My dad, he left when I was 9, 10, and I only saw that you had to work really, really hard, like sweat work, in order to make a living. And I didn't have the know-hows. I remember wanting to go to college, and my mom didn't know, how to apply or what I needed to do. And I remember her telling me when I was 15 years old, Felicia, you'd be the first in your family to go to college, but we don't have the money to pay for it. We're going to have to figure it out, right? And I had good grades, but I went to ASU playing softball. But I knew at a very young age that, money was scarce. And growing up with a scarcity mindset versus the abundant mindset, something that I've learned all of these years being a Latina entrepreneur is the personal development and the confidence I had to build in myself in order to know that there is a better way. There's a better way, right? But some of the obstacles that I did face early on was the lack of funds. I didn't have the capital. I didn't have, I didn't grow up with money. We grew up, in a 1-bathroom, small home, and we just didn't have the funds. And to go and apply for a small business loan as a female Latina entrepreneur just wasn't available for me. So one of the things that I did and how I overcame that is I sought out small business loans that gave to women, that gave to, diverse people, Latinas. And I was able to, then apply for a small business loan and open up my first gym when I was 22, 23 years old. But one of the things that I learned was you have to keep looking for different options. If you get a no, you keep going forward because you're probably going to get a lot of no's. And that's one of the things that has really created a lot of thick skin within myself. And I experienced throughout my whole journey as a female, as a Latina entrepreneur is, you'll find another way if you want it bad enough. And one of the things that has also helped me personally was my own personal development in terms of really switching my mindset out of the scarcity mindset, thinking there's not any opportunities for me, there's no money for me, oh, I can't afford that, I can't do that. No, I started to work on myself and read books and follow women that were doing it. And that created so much inspiration within me that I knew I could do it too.
Yes. That is so, you're so right. Like that scarcity mindset, I'm taking notes, by the way.
Yeah.
That scarcity mindset and shifting that mindset to a place of like, no, this is for me. I can do this. It is something that I can access, even if I've never seen it before, right? So like, Linda or Kathy, can you talk a little bit about like your journey towards it?
I feel like one thing that I've always done with my business and my goals is I didn't pay attention to the specific rules that everyone else went by. When I wanted to work at the newspaper, I didn't have my college degree. I was working in the basement at the Arizona Republic, but I applied for a clerk position and I was able to convince the editor to give me a chance and hire me. And from there, I ended up going to night school to finish my bachelor's, having 2 nationally syndicated columns. And when it came to crafting and creativity and writing, all I knew was that I wanted to live my life doing what I love to do, like that magic that you feel inside of you when people respond and you feel that energy. That had to be my normal. And therefore, I would take my paint bottles and I would make my own labels. And I made my own little product line here. And I did not have the capital to launch my own product lines. So I said, okay, let me go to the industry craft show. Let me take my media kit. Let me give them samples of what I make. And let me partner with the manufacturer to produce my products for me to get me an end cap in Michael's. Like I cut to the chase of the end goal that I wanted, and I made a path to get there. I use sites like Oprah, Martha, Tyra, JLo. I looked at their websites, and I'm like, how can I do a Crafty Chica version of what they are doing? I sent press releases to all the major outlets like the New York Times and the Washington Post, and they covered me. people are so afraid to take that step and to take their dream out and make it a goal and put it into action. And now I have 4 different product lines coming out in the next few months. One came out last month, everything from crafting to greeting cards to planners to paint on pottery bisque. And I love that because all of them I've partnered with manufacturers. So 4 times a year, I get different royalty checks that come in. And I think that what we need to learn as Latinas is that we're so creative and resourceful. And if we can just imagine, a bigger plan for ourselves and strategize it, map it out, and be very consistent with what your end goal is, you can definitely reach those goals to where you can thrive in any situation. We're in the middle of a pandemic right now. This has been my busiest year ever because I read the room. I paid attention to what was going on. People were at home. They were stressed out. They had their kids. So I doubled down on my website and started putting more craft tutorials, more things that families could do together. It made my traffic go way up. It helped with all of my sales and my ads on my website, just all of these different ways to serve people and help them with what I have to offer. So I think it just by really letting go of the formula that we have been brainwashed with and make our own formula and really, really believe that we can make it work for ourselves if we put in the proper action and the proper strategy, all of the heart that you have. And I think that is the biggest thing, is just being consistent with what the end goal that you want, whether if it's a certain amount of money or if it's a TV show that you want, or a product line that you want, or a collaboration that you want. Just zero in on it and develop that path. That's what I've done with my business. And I'm celebrating next year. It will be 20 years that I've had people. And I love it. It's just, I'm doing what I love, writing and making things and sharing all of it with people.
That is incredible. Congrats on 20 years. That's so, what a milestone. Like, that is amazing. Linda, talk a little bit about like when you sort of started because you've got such a huge following on Instagram. And I think like I would say like, it's almost like a lifestyle sort of like talk about like why you wanted to share your life, and then also like what did you feel were the obstacles for you, or did you feel that there were any, or were you just like, no, this is for me, I'm gonna do this, like I'm ready to do it?
Well, when I started like the whole social media thing, it was kind of just like the app was pretty new, and I had just had my daughter, and I've always loved styling, I've always loved fashion, I've always been very creative. So I just started like posting a little bit about her, then a little bit about me. And then I don't know, honestly, I don't know at what point it just blew off. But I think the thing is that I've always been very honest. I think I've always posted real things. I posted obviously all those Instagram worthy moments, but also real moments in my life that maybe weren't so Instagram worthy. So I think that's why my following grew, because of that honesty and showing that you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to try and show up, and a little bit about everything about work. I share about raising my children, and I think it was what you said, it was like it became a lifestyle thing, and maybe not everybody could relate to everything, but I think there was always something that was relatable.
Yes. Yeah. I think like what I hear all of you saying, each of you said it in a different way, but it was so much related to like authenticity and trusting yourself about what your taste was, what your vibe was, what your interests were, what you wanted out of life. And I think that that's it, right? Because like, if you can focus down and sort of go like, well, what's interesting to me, right? Like, what do I find? And I think about that all the time on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like, I think like, well, what's funny to me? What would I think is funny? So I'm going to try that, right? Like, as opposed to sort of going like, I don't know what's going to make everyone laugh. I can never know that, right? But if it's my taste, my sensibility, my interest, the things that I find important in my life, right? And so like, you guys have managed to not only take that authentic piece of yourselves, but actually like turn it into each of you, a growing business. I think that's so cool. Like, I would love for each of you to now share, and this is a weird question, but like, what were some of the mistakes that you made in either in the beginning or recently that you wish that you could have circumvented? And like, and this will lead into my next question too, but like, if you could go back and give yourself advice as a kid or as a anywhere in your career, like what would be, like, you have like 2 minutes, you can say 2 sentences to your younger self, like what would it be? What would you tell her to avoid or do instead, or what?
Okay, I'll go first. That's such a great question. And I would say I wish, looking back now, that I was not so hard on myself. Being firstborn, my mom, she put a lot of pressure on me, and I didn't enjoy the journey. I felt like for me, I was always wanting to be this high achiever and wanting to do more, that I never actually sat down and told myself that I was proud for what I was doing. I was always like, on to the next. Now being in my late 30s and now, wanting to live in the present, live in the now, it's so important for us as Latinas and as entrepreneurs to say, wow, I am so proud of how far I've come, right? We don't ever just bask, and we don't give ourselves any grace and compassion. I know I didn't for many years. And also my second advice to my younger self was, do not care what people think. Do not care what people think. Go after. There are so many things that I held back, that I was so afraid to go after or share or do, because I was afraid of what people are going to think. And I would say that I am far more confident in my 30s than I was in my 20s. Because I've now gotten to this place in my life where, like you mentioned, we do things that we enjoy, that we like, versus caring what, others are thinking or trying to paint this perfect picture. One of the things I use on my social media, and that I've been really open and honest about even on my podcast, is the struggles that I faced with my body and body dysmorphia. I've been on 8 covers, fitness covers. So I've been on the cover of Oxygen, Muscle and Fitness, Hers, Flex magazine. And, I was always so, just so hard on myself for trying to achieve this perfect look physically, that I completely neglected my mental health. And I woke up just, one day just not happy, and it just perpetuated. And so, so have more fun, live in the now, and do not care what others think.
That's brilliant. Yeah. As someone who's also struggled with an eating disorder and body dysmorphia in my past, like I think it's like something that, everything can look great on the outside, but if you are feeling any kind of way that's not in line on your inside, everything around you affects everything. It affects everything. And it affects, like what you're saying, like you cannot enjoy, like, what's the point in the end, like, of getting yourself to, whatever waist size or whatever. It's like, well, what's the point if like my whole life now revolves around that, What about you guys? Yeah.
I think back to when I left the newspaper, because I had this amazing opportunity to have my end cap at Michael's, and the production manager, not from Michael's, this was from the manufacturer. She was a girl from Kansas and knew nothing about Latino culture. And here was my product line. She was the product manager. And I let her, I don't want to say bully, but I kind of let her gaslight me into what would work and what wouldn't work, even though I knew in my heart, my gut, my experience. But because of layered false narratives that I had been embedded with, I was afraid that if I fought back, I would lose the opportunity or it would be taken away from me. So it almost makes me choke up, because I want to go back and tell that Kathy, you know what? Stand up for yourself. Go to her boss. And I did. It did, the way that life works, I did get pushed to the point to where I had to go to her boss and say, this is a deal breaker, and be able to say, I'm going to walk away from this if this proceeds in this way. And that was so hard. But it took 2 rounds of the product line being out in stores for me to finally do that. The line was successful. Michael's was amazing. I'm so grateful for them. I still work with them and everything. But it was just letting this one person who knew nothing about what I was doing, I let that person kind of like guide me because I was afraid. I was afraid I would lose the opportunity. And now I've learned from that, and I stand up and I'm like, no, that won't work, or I don't need this that much. I can do something else. There's plenty of other paths I can go down. So that is the one thing. Everything else I have no regrets about. I love the way everything unfolded. It was just that one time in my timeline that really, really challenged me.
Oh my gosh, that is so good, because it is so hard. It's so hard, especially starting out, when you're like, well, I guess everyone knows more than I do. I don't know anything, right? Like,
because it was
you knew it inside.
Yeah, it was, and I mean, for any craft designer, like having an end cap in Michaels is like the holy grail of everything. And I was afraid I would lose it, that they would, turn it down. And I learned that they didn't. I stood up to that person, and it ended up moving forward anyways in a positive way. So it was such a good lesson. I just wish I had had the confidence sooner. So you really have to trust your gut. You really have to trust that there's other opportunities if you come across something that is wrong, or the wrong people.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. This is amazing. Okay, so Linda, what about you? Like, what would you go back and say? Don't, or ooh, sooner, or oh no, wait.
Mine's probably not my younger self, maybe just my pre-pandemic self. I think I was just scheduled to the max. I mean, I'd wake up at 4:30, I'd work out, the kids had this and that, work. It was just like nonstop, and having everything stop at a halt and seeing how things don't necessarily fall apart. I think it just taught me that you don't have to go so hard every day to get stuff done. And so I think it's just that, just slow down and do what you can and do what's healthy, because I mean, we can all do a lot more in a day, but it doesn't mean we need to. It doesn't mean that's going to get you closer to your goal or make you happier or make your kids happier if they're in 20 million activities. So I think it's definitely just taught me to just slow down and figure out what's really important, and definitely downtime and relaxing. I learned how to do that at 36. But yeah, for me, it's that.
That's so good. That's so good, because I think, especially if you have any modicum of success in your life, you're just like, well, I guess I just have to like go full throttle, or everything's going to fall apart, right? Like, but it's such a good reminder to yourself to sort of use the time to like get closer to your family, or like refill your creative well, or whatever it is, right? Like, because I have discovered the same thing about myself over the course of this pandemic, which is like, I actually am more creative and better at what I'm doing when I give myself space to breathe. And I'm definitely nicer to my husband. Last thing I want to ask you guys is, I want you to talk about either the importance of having a mentor or being a mentor, and specifically to like what kind of, how that can either like build confidence in someone else or help you. Like, is there a time in your career where you had a mentor that sort of helped you push through? Or, like for me, I have like a health coach, and I have a life coach, and like these are people that I help. Like at first I was like, what do I need a coach for? Like, this is so dumb, right? But then really I realized, like, if I have goals and I'm like looking around going like, I don't know how to meet these goals exactly, or if it's not, maybe it's not even a mentor, maybe it's about like, for you, this is going back to something that we talked to about in the beginning. All of you said like you had a goal or you had a plan, and like, what tools could you share today with some of the women that are listening, or like how to structure your map, or like, what did you do, or what did you read, or did you journal? Did you give yourself a calendar? Did you have like, I've got to get this done by this day, I want to write this letter or see this person, or talk about like, either your mentor-mentee relationships or how you push yourself.
I think it's having a mentor is really important. I think my mother was my ultimate mentor, and growing up with a really strong, ambitious, never takes no for an answer kind of person. I mean, honestly, I owe anything I am or might be to her. And it's really important for me for my daughter to see that example, and my son to see that example, and maybe a future wife or his daughters. So I think it's super important to surround yourself with mentors or women you admire or just strong female figures, because I can say that a lot of the stuff that, I don't know, in the last 10 years, like this feminist movement that's so important, I felt like I was in a bubble because I was like, things aren't like that. I mean, my mom was the boss. I mean, my father passed away when I was 4, so she was my only parent, but she made the rules. She was the boss. She owned the business. So I think having that example really, really set the bar high for me. And now seeing all the inequalities, obviously it's even more frustrating because I didn't know how things really were. But it is important for me, for my daughter to see both sides, to see my side and to see that maybe it's not like that in every household or every business or every whatever. So I do think it's really important.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. I mean, I hope someday that I'm doing the same thing you are doing, which is like being a model for my kid, to show them like what's possible, you know. And it's so amazing that your mom did that for you, because it's so important. It's so important. What about you all, Felicia or Kathy? Like, talk about.
I'll go next. I think that for mentors, I look at it more like that one saying, you know, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around with the most. So we choose our 5 people, you know, we want to choose. I've always, you know, made a point to choose people who are positive, who are passionate, who are problem solvers, and people who encourage but still give tough love when you need to. And I think that has really helped a lot. And also just being a mentor to ourselves. Sometimes we don't have those people around us and we can't wait for those people to come help us. We have to be our own motivator. We have to, my daughter taught me this. I used to say that one quote, behind every successful woman is someone who pissed her off. And my daughter was like, no, Mom, that shouldn't be our motivation. Our motivation should be, you know, behind every successful woman is us. Like, we're doing it to prove it to ourselves. And anytime when you look at your time schedule, I wanted to write women's fiction novels in the middle of all of this crafting. So I started at 9 o'clock every night after the kids went to bed while I was working full time at the paper. And I wrote my books from 9 p.m. until 1 in the morning until I did 2,000 words every night. It ended up with a 2-book deal. And we're capable of more than we think, but you have to plan for it. And you can't wait for someone to come in and save you or help you or teach you. The best thing is to be your own mentor and your own motivator if you really want to move forward. No excuses.
I love that. I really, really love that. Felicia, talk about this, because this is really close to your heart. Actually.
So close to my heart. I just want to actually, I feel like Linda as well, speaking to my soul. My mom is my mentor. I saw her work so hard over the years. And what I learned from her was definitely the tenacity and perseverance to keep pushing forward for the things that you want in life. And I saw that from her. But the mentorship aspect is super important to me because I am a business coach, business mentor. So one of the things that I really help with and why I feel like it's important, I hired my first mentor business coach when I was 31 years old. And the thing about mentorship is you're learning from somebody that is doing what you want to do, you know, maybe 5 years ahead of you, right? So they're teaching you the tactics, the strategy, the action plan, because we only know what we know. We only know, you know, what we have in our brain, unless we expand that knowledge through education, through books, through learning from others, through what we are learning in our circle and leveling up, you know, we'll remain at that level. So for me as a mentor, for a lot of ladies, we have a mastermind, my girlfriend and I, Annette De La Rosa, we have a mastermind, and we actually attract a lot of Latina entrepreneurs who want to build an online legacy and online business. And we got a lot of ladies signing up through the pandemic because they were tired of being at a job that they were not passionate about, or being at a job where they were just easily dispensable, right? So teaching them the tools and helping them, not only the strategy and the action steps, but a lot of the core beliefs that are deep within us. And this is not just with Latina women, this is with a lot of women who are out there who are afraid because they feel they're not qualified enough or not worthy. Imposter syndrome is a real thing. the imposter syndrome, like, who am I to come out with this business, or who am I to launch this book, or who am I to start a coaching business, because of the core belief that we have in ourselves. So having a mentor, yes, I do believe that we do have to be proactive about being our own motivators, but there comes a time when our same routine, our same cycle keeps happening, where we get really excited about something, and then something were to happen, and we give up on that dream, right? It's because we don't have the tools or the mentors in our life that keep pushing us towards that goals. So one of the ways that I really approach this is I tell all women, hey, digestible goals. So what can we do in the next 90 days to help move the needle in what you want to do with your business? Because for a lot of ladies, they try to do everything at once, right? We're all multi-passionate. We want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this. Try to pick one goal, work on it for the next 90 days, and then what can you do for the next 90 days? I also teach this in fitness. As you know, when we are at fitness, for a lot of people, I know my mindset used to be all in or all out. If I wasn't all in, I was all out. I was the perpetual binge eater. I had a lot of body dysmorphia. And when I was all in, I was so perfect on my diet. But is that relatable? But is that even sustainable or possible for long term? No. So the way that I help set up goals, whether it's fitness or business, is small, digestible goals over time. A book that I recommend for a lot of the ladies that I work with, and just in general, is The Power of One. Such a good book. Power of One. It really teaches you how to rely on motivation or willpower, because motivation or willpower, it will go away. You can't rely on that. We have to rely on the habits that we add into our lives, and that will help make us successful in business and in life.
Yes, this is amazing. I mean, this is such good advice, you guys. I feel like we just gave I didn't, but y'all gave a masterclass in sort of being able to follow your dreams, follow your authenticity, especially, and then kind of create this actionable way to see it through. I'm just really inspired, kind of floored. Again, I took a lot of notes. Is there anything you guys want to add before we kind of wrap up the panel? Is there anything you want to say to the community that's listening, or to the women that are listening right now?
Well, this has been such an honor.
Believe in yourself, believe in yourself, your best friend believes in you, and work hard, but definitely have that confidence every day and if you don't, fake it till you make it, and keep telling yourself until one day you believe it, because it's true.
Yes. I love that. I love it.
I would say choose what you want to do and make a plan to work on it. You can only find out if it's the right plan for you if you take action and do it. How many times have you always thought you wanted something, and then you get it and you go, actually, maybe I don't want this. You don't know unless you try it. So, we all have different eras of our life, and yes, life is short, but the days are long. There's plenty of time to try different things, keep learning new things. And I love what you're saying about taking in new knowledge and keep growing and apply it, and know that it's possible. Just know that it's possible, but nothing will happen unless you take some action. You can talk about it, you can write it down, you can think about it. Nothing will happen until you take the action and make some sacrifices, either in your schedule, your time, investing in yourself. You have to do these things if you want to move forward and move up and live your best life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just want to say thank you so much. I had an honor being on here with both of these beautiful ladies, and Stephanie, you moderating. But to end, I would love to just all of those women listening who have aspirations to create something, a legacy for themselves, is yes, absolutely believe in yourself. I'm a firm believer in affirmations. But one of the things I would suggest is, setting that small goal. And what happens is, as we set those small goals, it will create a lot of momentum in our lives that will allow us to get to that big picture goal. And don't give up. Don't give up on your dreams. It's not going to be easy. Entrepreneurship is not this easy road. It's going to be like this. You're going to be crying one day and so excited one day. Why am I doing this one day? And then I'm so passionate about it the next. So you got to stick with it. Find what you're passionate about, and then take that passion, and does that passion help or solve a problem for who you want to help? And then that's when a business is created.
This was incredible, you guys. I'm very honored to have moderated this panel. Thank you all so much for your time.
I'm so inspired from all of you.
I know, me too. It's been amazing. Thank you, She Se Puede, for hosting this panel. And go to shesepuede.org/tour for more programming. There's so much more going on today. We've been happy to share this 30-something minutes with you, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.